Got Patrick Mayhorn on the line from the LGG.com. They cover Big 12 football, so please check out the crew right there. Big weekend in the Big 12 to kind of cement things as we get toward the championship showdown between Oklahoma and almost, without a doubt, TCU. There's a slight chance for Iowa State to slip in, but it basically looks like it's Oklahoma and TCU, the 5th and 10th ranked teams in the country. So your thoughts as we go down the line of the games this weekend. Unfortunately, for a conference, Patrick, that I would argue, and you probably as a Big 12 guy would back me up here, presents the most consistent big matchups week to week of any conference in the country because everybody plays everyone. You see a lot of possible really great matchups in other conferences that you don't see every year because they don't play each other, but you see everyone in the Big 12. Therefore, you get really good matchups just about every week. But it's kind of ironic that here we sit on the final weekend of the season and there's really not a whole lot to play for against good competition. There is Oklahoma, West Virginia, that game in Norman, and Iowa State. They've got the outside shot. If they win, they would tie TCU. If TCU is inexplicably upset by Baylor, we think that Iowa State would break the tie, of course, with a head-to-head win over TCU. But otherwise, it's Baylor and TCU starting the Big 12 weekend on Friday night at TCU against a Bears team that's 1-10. So you can take us through all the games and just your thoughts about the weekend in Big 12 play.
Yeah, and TCU Baylor starting off the Big 12 weekend on that Friday game shouldn't be close. TCU is significantly better than Baylor. This is not the TCU of 2014 and 2015 where they were both very, very high level teams. TCU, despite some recent struggles, they had injury problems with Kenny Hill. He should be back from all I know. Darius Anderson has been injured as well. This really shouldn't be for them, and they should be able to find their way into the Big 12 championship game with a matchup with Oklahoma and try to get revenge in that game.
All right, just your thoughts on any of the other action this weekend?
Well, Kansas State, Iowa State is a game that I think could probably be the best of the weekend. Kansas State just pulled that big upset last weekend, and they look good. They looked significantly better than I think they have all season. I'm not sure if the Bill Snyder magic is still there as much as it has been in the past, but Iowa State seems to have some magic of their own despite struggling recently against West Virginia, Oklahoma State. They got back on track against Baylor. It's had so many injuries, and I think that, despite Iowa State, I think being a better team, this could be probably the most entertaining game. The last game really to talk about, and you mentioned Oklahoma, West Virginia. I think that this game would be way, way more interesting if Will Grier had not been, injured last week with the really kind of upsetting finger injury. And I think that this would be a really fun matchup with Will Grier, but without him, Oklahoma should roll, even though Baker Mayfield won't technically be starting this game.
Yeah, it's almost as though Will Grier would be the perfect foil in Oklahoma's plans to get to a college football playoff in that, he can make some mistakes. He throws the pick or two from time to time, but he's just got that gunslinger's mentality and enough talent to possibly on the right night with maybe a few turnovers caused by the West Virginia defense to pull off a stunner. And it wouldn't be a complete shock. West Virginia's a good team, but Oklahoma's decidedly better. I would think, I don't know what the point spread is considering Grier out of the game, but I would think with him in the game, it's a 2-touchdown Oklahoma spread at Norman. So they're decidedly a better team all around. And West Virginia's lost to some recent games that they haven't looked very good. But Will Grier and those receivers with Sills and so forth would provide enough of a threat to make it interesting, and his ability to put up 400 yards and 5 touchdown passes to possibly pull off the upset. Unfortunately, that's not what we're going to get to see on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, the spread I'm looking at for this game is -22 in favor of Oklahoma. I don't think it'll be that much of a blowout, but Oklahoma should be able to handle this game pretty easily.
All right, we're talking Big 12 football with Patrick Mayhorn. You can join him and the rest of the crew on the LGG.com for your best in Big 12 football coverage. Oklahoma looks to be in great shape with a date against Will Greerless West Virginia in Norman this weekend. TCU should march on to the Big 12 championship game as well, with a date against 1-10 Baylor. And then we will see the two teams get it together the next weekend, the first weekend of December. Patrick, we appreciate your time.